Hello, everybody, and welcome to Godspeed TV. I'm your host, Riley Roseby, your guide to the AI-enabled paradigm shift. Pleased to be joined by JC Peretz and Spencer Israel, the stars of the morning show. We're missing Steve, but we got the gang here. And today is a special day because we have Nvidia earnings out. The stock is up 3% after hours. You know, there's a lot of time left to make a decision as to how these figures will come to be. But so far, so good. JC, what do you make of this after hours movement?
I mean, listen, I think that this is so far the stock's up, what, 5 points after hours? You know, I think the bigger deal is the implications for me. You know, it's the market. I have never, Nvidia's been a big story and it's the biggest company in the world. So you can argue this is the most important earnings of the entire season. But I think in this environment where semiconductors have been so strong, despite any selling pressure happening in software, semiconductors closing at all-time highs today on both an absolute and on a relative basis. I mean, semi's absolutely crushing it. So when you look at Nvidia kind of going sideways over the course of a few months, is that resolution going to be higher, keeping semis as a leader despite selling elsewhere in technology? Or is semiconductors going to succumb to the pressure that we're seeing elsewhere in tech, right? That's the big question, right? Technical analysis doesn't give us all the answers, but it certainly goes a long way in helping us ask the right question. And that's the question that I'm asking. So I think a muted move here and just continued resiliency out of semiconductors, I think it's good for technology overall. How can it be bad?
How can it be bad? No, I couldn't agree with you more. And if we want to jump to Spencer, I have a slide 5. I cut this chart just after we closed, before the prints came. I drew this chart. You can make the case that this is not a top, right, JC? Like we're kind of seeing that resemblance of a top. Now with earnings out, the stock is above 200. Like you could certainly make the case that this is not a top. Am I seeing that correctly?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I love it. Clearly, you've been hanging around with us too long. So, like, essentially what Riley's talking about, if you're out there listening, what is going on here? Well, humans are constantly looking for changes in things, right? And looking for reversals when the truth is, asset prices. When you study the books, the technical analysis books, and I've read them all multiple times, so I can tell you for a fact, there's a lot of emphasis on mean reversion and the bullish to bearish reversals and just changes in trend, when the truth is, for the majority of the time, what appears to be a reversal is actually just a consolidation within an ongoing trend that tends to resolve in the direction of the primary trend. In the case of Nvidia, is still up, obviously
Still up. And
well, I mean, I brought a long-term chart if you want to see it.
I would love to see it. Let's see it.
I brought it.
Slide.
These are the Fibonacci extensions going back to the .com bubble crash and the great financial crisis crash. No, not after this. That looks like a Riley chart if I've ever seen one.
That's certainly a Riley chart.
That's like the most Riley chart ever right there.
Are you a weather geek, JC? Are you a fellow weather geek?
Nah, man.
No. Okay.
Back in California, we would go. Tahoe was pretty close by, so I'd watch the weather for the snow. Like, oh, it's going to stop snowing on Tuesday. All right, I'll be there Wednesday morning. You know what I mean? Like, that was the extent. And I would follow the apps. I would pay the premium for the open snow. So like, I could get the details. Yeah.
Good man. No. That's the veteran move right there.
That's the veteran move. So I learned from the locals. They taught me how it was done. So listen, this consolidation in Nvidia is very interesting here, right? I mean, these types of consolidations within ongoing trends tend to resolve in the primary direction, which of course was from the lower left to the upper right. So does it mean it needs to break out higher? No, it's just let's put the cards on the table. We know the math. The higher probability is that the resolution is going to be up. And then zoom out, go to that slide 43 there. So this takes you all the way back. These Fibonacci extensions go back to the dot-com bubble decline and the great financial crisis
Oh
decline.
my goodness.
That's what these levels are.
Wow.
So there's a lot of market memory where we're holding support, right? So it's not just support on its own, but there are some key levels that are ancient levels. I mean, listen, you know me, I look at a lot of charts. If I didn't think that these levels mattered to the markets, I certainly would not be using them. Would not be wasting my time. I can tell you for a fact, markets keep respecting that. Then go up to 42 there. You can see semiconductors right now. We're talking about the leadership out of semis, Nvidia obviously being the largest component, making new all-time highs for semis, despite any selling pressure that we've been seeing in other areas of tech. And then finally, go to the semiconductors relative. So new all-time highs, and then semiconductors on an equally weighted basis. Go up the other way.
Wait, other way. There we go.
Semiconductors on an equally weighted basis, really at a critical juncture where they're either going to stick this landing and go, or they're going to fail and roll over, and that could be pretty dangerous. So I think that the new highs in semis, Nvidia here up 7 points in the after hours, a few percentage points, that's a W. That's, I don't know how many hundreds of billions of dollars in market cap, but it's like a lot.
It's a lot.
Well, here. So let's look. So it's up 7% now. It's up 7% after hours.
All right.
What was the expected move? I think it was 5 or 6% this week. So pretty muted expectations in terms of the options market. But this was a banger. I mean, we knew it'd be a banger, right? Every report's been a banger for the last 3 years. This is more of the same. The earnings came in above estimates. The guidance came in again above estimates. How do they do it? But they do. They guided sales for the current quarter. They said between $76.5 and $79.5 billion. The estimate was below $72 billion. So they blew that number out. I mean, that's a almost an $8 or $9 billion beat on the quarterly sales projection for the current quarter, on top of all the other green that you can see within the press release, right? Pretty much, look, everything came in above estimates, gross margins, the top line, the bottom line. Like I said, let's try to find someone that does not look good here. I'm looking.
So stock's up 3.8% in the after hours. So that puts it up almost over 5% total for the day. That 3.8% after hours represents $180 billion in market capitalization. Just an FYI.
That's a lot. That's a lot. JC, I do have a question for you, though, because you're looking at longer term charts, right? You're using technical analysis to identify these longer term trends. How much weight are you putting into this after hours movement? Do you really obviously this is good data heuristic. Are you waiting more for the close tomorrow? Kind of see that confirmation, see it get solidified. Do you really want to just see how things close out at the end of the week? Where are you drawing the line?
Listen, the fact that Nvidia after hours is up a Boeing or up a Gilead, literally,
that's a good
Nvidia is literally up a Walt Disney in the after hours right now. That's what we're talking about here. These are the types of companies that are the size of what Nvidia is just up in a couple of minutes. Just so everybody. Just for perspective.
That's a great perspective. No, that's a great way of thinking about it.
When I say that this is important. So the fact that this isn't a bomb, right? Bombs been going off in this market in certain areas, particularly in technology. So could a bomb gone off? Could have gotten off in Nvidia? Definitely. I didn't think that was going to happen. I certainly wasn't betting on that, but it's certainly in the realm of possibilities and certainly crossed my mind. So even though it was a low probability outcome that there was a bomb, certainly a possibility. And the fact that we're past that, no bomb.
Well, it's early yet. It's been out for 12 minutes. So
yeah, fine. Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
No, but it's not instant 10% down. That would have been a bomb, right? That would have been.
That was the next thing I was going to say is let's see him stick it. You know, let's see how the rest of semiconductors react. It's Wednesday afternoon. Let's see what this looks like Friday happy hour, you know?
Yeah. No, I wholeheartedly agree there. It's great to see the first move higher, but yeah, we need to see this. Need to see it stick it. Does Nvidia need to lead, JC, for this uptrend to continue going in your eyes?
I
Within
mean, it
the
hasn't
semiconductor
done
space?
anything. Semiconductors make new all-time highs every day. Nvidia's gone sideways for months. So the answer is no. Clearly, it does not need to lead for semiconductors to do just fine, right? But just think about the fact that semiconductors make new all-time highs every day, and Nvidia hasn't been going up. So what? I mean, you're right. Just think about that.
Here's the interesting heuristic, and then Spencer, if you want to walk us through this scorecard, that would be great. But software is down after hours, guys, almost 1%. The IGV. It's a little interesting. Maybe I'm overthinking it, but
yeah, maybe just further rotation being used as a source of funds. I don't know how liquid that thing is in the after hours. You know, it's kind of like a random ETF.
Doesn't have much volume. Yeah.
Not a ton,
yeah,
but
I don't know. I don't know if I'd overthink that. Maybe that was a software stock that reported or something.
Okay.
Yeah, that could have been that. I wouldn't put too much weight into software versus Nvidia. Now, if we're talking semis after hours, that's a different story.
Salesforce is down. Salesforce is down 5.5% after hours.
There we go. If the you know, if the SMH were to be down or flat after hours, that would be notable, right? But it's obviously not. It's so. Anyway, wait. I want to bring up that scorecard again. So this is a product of the guys over at the Beat Report who put this together.
Shout out the Beat Report.
Yeah, shout them out. They do great work. And what's the takeaway here? It is the furthest right-hand column. That's the takeaway here. This is going back to every earnings report since Nvidia changed the world a few years ago with the release of ChatGPT, and they said, by the way, we're going to make all of the money ever. And they had that incredible move. And every report since then has been a question of, can they do it again? Can they do it again? Look at the reactions from the last year and a half, year plus for earnings reports, right? They've been very muted, right? The reports themselves have been outstanding. The fundamentals have been great. Everything that they've said, the company said, has been good. But the Wall Street reaction has been muted. And that's been the story going back now to November of 24. So the reaction here today, as JC pointed out, we are, what are we, up 3% after hours? And the expectations were for a 5% move. So, you know, pretty muted expectations should speak to the recent trend. We kind of expected that there wouldn't be a ton of action in Nvidia, whether it's tonight or tomorrow during the day when the real volume comes in, because of this trend. So, like, what could they possibly say? We know, and we can say it now with benefit of hindsight, but we know that they're gonna crush it because that's all they've done, right, Riley? For 3 years now, that's all they've done is beat expectations across the board. It defies logic, but that's what they do. What's more interesting than what the company says is what the reaction is. So we have I think people were so like mind fucked by that first report a few years ago and a couple of the other ones after that they kind of expect every report to change the world and the stock to blast off every time, and that has not been the case. So,
well, when everybody expects it to blast off and, you know, go up 15% after earnings that probably deserve a performance like that, like, you know, that's just not how the market works. I will say we are getting a little bit of selling pressure.
I mean,
it's down to 2%+.
So the after hours high.
Granular.
What's the after hours high? 203. We're at 199.88, right? So we're $4 off the after hours high as we're doing this right now. So it's been, like I said, it's been 17 minutes since these numbers dropped. They did drop 10 minutes late. That was interesting.
And they're going to start the conference call here at the top of the hour, correct?
Yeah. That's if they start on time, then yes. Yeah.
Knock on wood. Yeah.
Yeah. Knock on wood. So anyway, we talk about this all the time. It's not so much about the numbers as it is about the reaction to the numbers. So what we're doing right now, this is all fun. This is all cool. We're all watching this anyway, so we might as well go live and talk about it with you. But we want you to know that what really matters is the next 24 hours, right? Or the next 48 hours, right? Is can they stick it, right? Like that first after hours candle, that pop up. If I pull up the after hours chart, that pop up there, that's all fun. Pop to 203, that's cool. But can they stick it or not, right? And that's what matters more. So that's what the guys at the Beat Report are looking at. They're constantly putting out reports and tables that are from earnings reports that are a day ago or 2 days ago, because the reaction is what matters, right? Was it a good reaction on bad news? Was it a bad reaction on good news? Those things matter. So props to those guys. We will wait and see how this shakes out, because what happens in 18 minutes in the after hours on day one is not nearly as important, or actually day zero. It's not nearly as important as what happens the next day or the day after that. So shout out to
pros on the close, man. Pros on the close.
I don't know what that means.
Oh, dude. I picked that up at I can't even remember. It was either at SMB or maybe before then, but it was always this classic saying, right? The pros own the close. So where the stock closes the day, that's where the pros are marking it. So
they own the close.
Own the close. The pros own the close.
Yeah. Right. So let's wait and see what Steve Strauss puts out in
Speaking of the Beat Report, I don't know if you caught it, but the key site, did you see the react? I mean, talk about reactions. Holy smoke.
Here. You know what? I think I have that chart handy from the Beat Report from this morning. Let me see if I can grab it real fast. I think I do. It's right. Let's do this right quick. We're going to call an audible. Here we go.
I love it.
Yeah, that was like the best reaction ever or something, right?
Dude, it was, I mean, absolutely monstrous. Absolutely monstrous.
Got it. So this is not even including today's. I don't know what the stock did today. Let's look it up real fast. We're getting off topic, but I don't know.
It was up 23 bips, 23 basis points.
Damn. So it just
nothing muted reaction.
So no, but that's where you would say it stuck it, right? Okay, it was up 70 cents today, right? Big whoop, right? No one cares, but it's stuck it. That's what matters, right? It didn't give any of it back.
Yeah.
So
70 cents today, $56 yesterday.
Right, exactly. So
absolutely monster move. And this is kind of what JC was talking about at the top of the program of this isn't exactly the semiconductor space, but this is an interesting subsect within technology, right? Of these electrical, industrial type companies that are just absolutely crushing it.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I don't know a ton about Keysight and what they do. So, but great reaction, great call to reference that because it was the best earnings reaction ever. I want to put the link to the Beat Report in the chat. Well, this is the link to get the Daily Beat, which is the free version of the Beat Report. The Beat Report takes the reactions and then makes trades based off them. But this is if you want to get the daily scorecard that goes out, you can use the link that's on the screen. I'll drop the link in the chat right now to actually get the trades, because these guys are putting trades on ahead of and after earnings reports based on the table that we just put on the screen. So I want to give them their props because Steve and all his minions,
dude, they work hard. They do great work, and they work their freaking butts off for that.
Okay,
stuff.
Wait. While I do that, what else do we have here, Riley?
Well,
There's a lot going on.
A good segue. We could jump over to Joby because they also reported earnings after the close. Now, the stock is up 2.5%. Big whoop. These earnings reports for the eVTOL manufacturers are a little bit of a snoozer until we get FAA certification. and we haven't gotten a definitive date yet from Joby. You know, they're in their final stage of FAA testing, type certification testing. It's been like this for, gosh, it seems like the last 6 to 12 months, where it's, you know, any day now they could come out with FAA certification. But I think the really interesting thing here is they did do a bunch of PR talking about their program and their partnership with Uber, right? So
Okay.
Joby and Uber are teaming up to tackle the aerial economy, and you're going to be able to, in your Uber app, if the ride is available, go ahead and select the, you know, flying air taxi option. So this is a rendering that Joby did, and then talking within this press release when they put this out, you know, they're toting one tap booking. So going into the iOS ecosystem, designed up to 4 passengers for comfortable seating, can travel up to 200 miles an hour with a range of 100 miles on a single charge. Now, I think we need to have an asterisk by, you know, the aircraft specs as far as speeds and travel time, because like we saw with the evolution of batteries and EVs and the range that EVs had, we're probably going to follow a similar curve, you know. So in the next couple of years, we're not even going to be thinking about range up to 100 miles. We'll be thinking 200, 300, 400, 500 and beyond. And then once again, they talked about being in the final stage of certification process. So we're still lacking some transparency as far as
how long is this going to take, man?
It's aviation, Spencer. It's going to take a long time.
All right.
It's going to take a long time. But the one silver glimmer here, silver lining, is they're going to be deploying their commercial services over in Dubai, most likely before the United States. And this is interesting because Dubai is obviously out of the FAA's jurisdiction. So at some point, the FAA or the Saudis are going to come in, approve the air taxis from Joby. They're going to get up and running, and then probably shortly thereafter, right, we'll see FAA come in and give their stamp of approval. But if we want to jump down to a couple of the charts, let's start with 22. Beautiful. So this is how Joby closed today, and this line going back is the anchored VWAP since its inception. So this is a super, super important price, right?
Which is like, what, 2021?
2021. Maybe, you know, I think it was a SPAC, so maybe there was some activity in 2020 as far as folks getting involved with the SPAC. But during that COVID hysteria, and we all remember it, right? Zoom went crazy. We had flying car stocks. Quantum was hot, and of course now all these stocks are making a comeback. But this is a super important price level, and today after the earnings report, you know, we're up 2.5%. We're right at that level once again. So I feel like for the last 12 months, I've been saying these eVTOLs are right at the scene of the crime where they need to be making a decision. That story rings true today. So I don't know, Spencer, are you excited about eVTOLs, or are you just like,
I am, but it's such a long-term thing. I almost think you have to set it and forget it and just not throw it in the retirement account and don't look for it like a decade. You know what I mean? Like this thing is. I own it. I don't own it right now. I've owned it at various points in the last 4 years. I've kind of gotten in and out of it a couple of times. At the moment, I'm not long. I certainly could be talked into it. In fact,
I mean, I think with where the stock is today and where we're at just in the eVTOL industry, it's probably safe to be buying leaps, you know, going out long dated options. If you want to do that route, you know, probably reach out to Sean if that's suiting your fancy. But, you know, I wouldn't even say we've had one out in the first inning of eVTOLs, right? Like fast forward 20, 30 years down the road, we have no idea who the winner is going to be. Maybe it's going to be Joby. Maybe Joby doesn't survive. Maybe it's going to be Archer. Maybe they'll go to zero. You know, it's so early to tell, but I really like at least using these price charts as a heuristic as to what's the health and what's the investor appetite for aviation. We can jump down though, because this was an interesting little story tidbit that I pulled up. I don't know, maybe a couple hours ago on the Twitter sphere. Starlink is targeting 160 megabytes for peak download speeds. And there's one more slide just below that, Spencer, and we can see this tweet from S.E. Robinson. Starlink, during the International Telecommunication Union's Space Connect video conference, SpaceX, Spectrum, and Regulatory Affairs led UP stated, we're aiming at peak speeds of 150 megabytes per user. So something incredible if you think about the link budgets from space to the mobile phone. That is 150 megabytes peak download speed per user on direct to cell. If you remember, Elon once described Starlink as operating like AT&T or T-Mobile without replacing carriers. The 150 megabytes per second goal nears T-Mobile's 309 megabits and AT&T's 172 megabits median 5G speeds per Ookla. To do this, SpaceX will upgrade its existing direct-to-consumer satellites, add capacity, plus the EchoStar spectrum. Shout out to EchoStar, right? Ticker SATS. This will support broadband for AI, video, voice, and everyday use. The upgrade should start in late 2027. SpaceX is already seeking approval for 15,000 more direct-to-consumer satellites beyond the 650. I don't know how you can be bearish, Space, when Starlink is trying to take after, take on these initiatives.
The big thing right now, with I think about everything from through the lens of like public markets, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, is Starlink ever going to do an IPO? And if so, what are all the screwed up ways that they're going to try to sell it, right? And I know there's a lot.
It'll be wrapped in the SpaceX wrapper, right?
Sorry, that's what I meant. I meant SpaceX.
Yeah.
So there's been a lot written about the SpaceX and the problems that a potential IPO entails from a liquidity standpoint. Inclusion in the indexes is not a guarantee. There's a whole thing about that because there's basically not enough shares available, but it's crazy high valuation. So how do you square that circle? So there's a whole lot going on there. And I know there are instruments right now that will give you exposure, right, to SpaceX in a not so good way. Shout out to DXYZ, but
probably not a good one to be buying and holding at this point.
Hey, I wrote that thing up. That was my best trade of the year. Was it a year or 2 years ago? A year ago? I don't remember anymore.
Dude,
of the year. That thing went from like 0 to 100. Anyway, so that's all I think about. Like all these things, these incremental headlines are great, but I'm mostly just interested in if or when wherever we get that SpaceX IPO, and then what are going to be the ways for which you can own it without getting ripped off, because there are many ways to own it now and you'll get ripped off doing it. So
I mean, I think you're bringing up an excellent point as far as getting ripped off in the IPO process. I think probably the best book to read talking about this is Kramer's Confessions of a Wall Street Addict.
Ooh,
right, he talks about it. Granted, this was during the .com bubble, this was during the 2000s, so it's a long time ago, maybe not that long in the greater arc of history, but he talks about all the shenanigans that goes on during the IPO process. And there's so many hands, so many mouths get fed. It's just, it's when that many folks are involved, there's going to be some shenanigans. But I want to move on to these heuristics that I absolutely love. And I know they're not exactly your forte, Spencer, but let's look at this Aspen Fire Seneca deal, because
what? I don't even know what these words mean, dude.
Okay, so Aspen Fire Department taps Seneca's autonomous firefighting solution. So we jump down to the next slide, and this is the press release. Partnering with the best, Aspen Fire acquires a Seneca strike team. So Seneca is an autonomous drone manufacturer, autonomous drone provider based out of the Bay Area, and they have what they call a Seneca strike team that includes 5 of these drones that will go out and deploy fire suppressant in wildfire regions. Now, this isn't to replace firefighters by any means. This is just to help, right? One of the biggest issues with fighting wildfires is it can take sometimes forever in the grand scheme of things to understand where a fire started, how big it's growing. It's very difficult to access, then to get firefighters back to right where the inception of the fire is. Well, with this drone, they're talking about recovery speeds, or not recovery, response rates, excuse me, of anywhere from 5 to 10 minutes. So this is a potentially huge unlock just for the world if they can deliver on that 5 to 10 minute response system. I mean, think of the implications if we had drone firefighters with the Los Angeles fires. What was that, last year? You know, pretty wild stuff. This is the aerial economy.
All right,
Hard at work,
this is the
Spencer.
aerial economy. It's happening. This is the aerial economy. It's
happening. Well, and
All
I want us to look at some aviation stocks, right?
Oh
Because
yeah, please give it to me.
dude, okay. Well, first and
What do we
foremost,
got here?
we got Rolls-Royce.
aviation stock. I love it.
Dude, how about that? How about that absolute massive U-turn from the lows in 2022? This is a monthly chart. It looks like we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 maybe down months since 2022. Absolutely stellar performance. We jumped down to Boeing. Now this one got absolutely rocked in 2020, right? They had all their shenanigans, all their issues, all that kind of stuff. But we've been testing this 260 level a couple times, and looking at how these other aviation airplane stocks are doing, you got to suspect this thing is going to resolve in the direction of the underlying trend to the upside. If we do, I mean, I know a lot of folks who just wrote Boeing off, and you might see some folks start chasing it. I don't know the exact backlog they have, but I want to say it's something ridiculous, like a decade or two.
Well, of course they have the backlog. It's 2 games in town. It's them or Airbus. There's nobody else.
Well, and
right?
so yeah, we look at the next chart, and we got Airbus there. You know, beautiful uptrend, and then the last one is the Embraer, and this one's interesting because I'm sure you're paying attention, Spencer, but Fonz and the rest of the analyst team is all over this Brazil trade.
Yeah.
Well, now here you go. You got an airplane manufacturer based out of Brazil. Stock is going absolutely rocking. And then just today, it was either today or late last night, they announced a new private jet series. Embraer did. And this is the Praetor E series. And this is an image of the interior. Now, the plane itself didn't have a ton of transformations as far as the specs go, but they did a facelift on the cosmetics, making it look nicer inside. And I don't know, this looks like a spaceship if I've ever seen one. So we love to see where aviation's heading here. Estimated price for these jets, Spencer, is anywhere from 20 to 28 million. Right?
Oh, big deal.
Light work, just a casual day in the office. How many of these jets do you think Nvidia could buy after today's move?
All of they could. Speaking of backlogs, they could have a backlog forever. Right?
All the backlogs.
Yeah,
all the backlogs.
Speaking of Nvidia, I know the call is about to start, and we wanted to listen. So let's wrap this up quickly here. I want to bring up this airport. I gotta be honest, I didn't realize
airports outperform. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is super fascinating. I don't know how your Spanish is, and you could potentially help me with the pronunciation, because
no, I'll pass.
Dude, I don't even necessarily want to try, because I will butcher this like none other. JC and those guys always make fun of me for my lack of worldliness. But these are airports in Mexico, Latin America, against the QQQ here, and you can see just this monster outperformance going back for the last 12 months. Right, we have an airport stock that's up 71% in the last year, 56%.
This is probably this is
45.
simply a. You said that these are all in Latin America,
Mexico and Latin America.
Okay,
yeah.
So this is an international trade, right?
Certainly.
That's probably what this is.
Certainly. And then we got to touch on that last map, because I know.
Yeah. Okay.
We already kind of pulled it up, so we got to circle back, and then we'll get to the Nvidia call. But Spencer, this is a map of all these green dots and blue dots and red dots that you see on here are the airports in North America. And this is provided by windy.com, which is my favorite weather tracking service. If you haven't used it, or if you're a weather geek like myself, this is hands down the best product out there.
Why are some of these dots red?
Probably inactive, if I had to guess.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe out of service, out of commission. But I don't know. I'm thinking about the aerial economy. I'm thinking about eVTOLs, airplanes, drones, and how this whole ecosystem intertwines. And you look at a map like this that visually depicts all the airports. in the United States, and it gets your head turning. I don't know about you, Spencer, but it certainly gets my head turning.
I continue to be amazed at just how many opportunities there are in public markets to partake in this theme. Today I learned about airport stocks, Latin American airport stocks. Didn't know that existed, but apparently that's a thing. So, all right, let's take one last look here at the after hours chart for Nvidia. So again, it's early yet. It's been a half hour, but holding on to the gains. Let's see how things shake out during the conference call is going on right now. We're not in a position to simulcast it, so we're not going to do that. But we are going to hop off and give it a listen because kind of curious to see what Jensen has to say. And even though we know what he's going to say business is awesome because that clearly is true. I just saw a stat on Twitter. What is that? 20? How many quarters in a row did Nvidia? 28 quarters in a row they've beat on the top line, courtesy of Phil Rosen. So
shout out Jensen, man. Yeah, when he speaks, we gotta listen.
This stock is crushing it. What more is there to say? But again, as JC always says, let them dance. Let's see how things shake out. Call me tomorrow morning and then again tomorrow night, and we will be able to accurately assess the true positivity or negativity from this report. So that's what I'll say about that. Riley, any final thoughts as we head out?
No final thoughts. Just want to thank you and JC for jumping on here today. This was fun, man. I know we had a special occasion, but good to get the.
Well, it's the most important earnings report in our lifetime, so I thought we would do.
That's right. As of this moment. All
right. Listen, if you are not reading Riley's research over at Godspeed, you should definitely check it out. Let's throw the link up on the screen. The Godspeed.today.
Godspeed.today. Thank you, Spencer.
There it is. The link is in the description on YouTube. Check it out. Learn all about. Learn what eVTOL stands for. If you don't know what eVTOL stands for, you can learn that and learn all about the aerial economy, EVs, space,
drones, robots, AI,
all the future stuff. Right? Yeah, the future's now.
The future is now. Where's my flying car, Spencer?
I don't know. But we've been on a bit of a James Bond marathon in our house the last week or so, and we've gotten to the fourth movie, which involves jetpacks. And I was told that jetpacks are going to be the way we travel in the future, and that never materialized. But I want my jetpack, Riley. I want my jetpack.
I think we all
Where's
do.
My jetpack?
That's a fair question. I'm asking the same, man. But appreciate the love, and I know you got to be up early for the morning show tomorrow. So let's.
All right, let's get out of here. Thanks for watching. Drop us a like. See you tomorrow on the morning show.
Thanks, Spencer.